Today I'm reviewing a MiniPC. I have an RTX 4080 hooked up to an Occulink dock there with a 1000-watt power supply, an Asus Strix 4080. Well, that's because it's going to work with this MiniPC. Why do I say that? Well, this MiniPC has an Occulink dock, so not only is it performant as it is, it's going to have great IGP performance, great performance in theory, haven't tested it yet, but it also has an Occulink port, meaning you don't get limited bandwidth like you would on a USB 4 dock, where adding more GPU doesn't really do anything after a while. This is a case where it's like, yeah, let's add a ton of GPU to this thing so that this tiny little PC here can let me play AAA titles on this 4K ultra-wide 120 hertz refresh screen. Isn't that crazy? Well, let's get it done. So let's jump into the review itself. The funny part of this video, I think the funny part of this video is I have this hooked up, I'm going to have this hooked up to a 4080. This tiny little mini PC is going to smash this 4070 Super system by a mile. Actually, that's a 7700 CPU, which is still a very good CPU, but it's going to, the GPU is going to get just obliterated by this. So I'm going to be able, this is a better gaming machine than that desktop. Okay, so here it is. Look at the actual device. This is a metal ring around it, very premium feeling. Lots of airflow. They don't close these off. There's just air, which is good because it will run cooler. Air intake on the bottom with the fan. And there's another fan on the top there. That's for the components inside. So this is the actual CPU cooler, APU cooler, I guess I'd call it. Nice big chunk of metal there. And then you have component cooling there. So these are very well cooled, to be honest, based on the last one I tested. I/O is very good. Occulink, which will allow you to do iGPU stuff with significantly less limited bandwidth than USB 4. So I'm going to be able to actually leverage that 4080. You can do USB 4. So you can do USB 4 for USB docks. So if you have a USB enclosure, you can use it for gaming, getting 40 gigabyte per second speeds, very, very good speeds. Or you can run a USB 4 dock. It's actually possible. I have a USB 4 dock on the ground over there. But I mean, for gaming, I just use the Occulink. It's just better. You do have two USB-A, fast USB-A, headphone, and then on the back, more good ports, two USB-A, display port, so you can use the IGP right of it, HDMI, good, two Ethernet, so redundancy, very good, another USB 4 port, and DCN. So if you're not going to run an Occulink dock like I am, which I would recommend doing, it's very good, you could run a USB 4 dock if needed for gaming, or you can get a USB 4 dock, like an enclosure with all kinds of ports and stuff on it. So incredibly good I/O. The Kensington lock slot, and this is metal, so it is a decent place to have a Kensington lock slot. The tops are pretty easy to get off. You just have to kind of twist it like that, and we'll start digging in this way. I don't want to go in through the bottom. I want to go in through the top and see what's up. Sweet. Oh, that way. Yep. Okay, so go like that. Two fans. The fan on the bottom cools the CPU, or APU, I guess there. And the top is for the components inside, such as RAM and such as storage as well, because these are confined space, right? So they could potentially get warm. And I find some minis do get warm when they're closed up because there's just so much, because they're so condensed and there's just not a lot of place for air to go. Wi-Fi under there. Stacked on top is the first NVMe. So we have a single NVMe there. You might struggle to put in a dual-sided just because the storage is right there, just because the Wi-Fi is right there. So you're going to want a single one in there, but you do have a second slot here. So, so it does support dual NVMe, no problem. Nice name brand, crucial memory here. So 16 and 16 is perfect. No issues there. Good quality RAM, 5600 megahertz, name brand, the good stuff. And then CMOS battery there. So you can easily get inside of it to swap out your RAM if need be, add more storage. If you really want, you can take it apart. There's nothing really underneath. I've got into these before. There's just a big, giant heat sink with a big fan on it that helps it run nice and cool. But the parts that you actually care about, I mean, you're just turning that off and taking out 4 screws. Super easy to get into and do your upgrades that you want to do. You can use a 4080, but I feel like a lot of people would probably not pair a MiniPC with a 4080, but they might pair something like this, a 4070 Ti, maybe a 4070, like just a normal 4070. I got this 4070 Ti for a good price, so we're going to use that for the test. This is the type of results you can expect. This is Hogwarts Legacy, very demanding, GPU heavy title. We'll come in here, just look at that, that's too high. Let's go DLSS quality, but we are at 4K ultra-wide, not 4K, 4K ultra-wide, even higher. DLSS quality, ultra, let's see what we can get. So you've taken this little mini PC from what a respectable iGPU can do. Definitely very respectable on that iGPU. But I mean, that's for 1080p gaming realistically. This, however, is 4K ultra-wide gaming. Ultra, just the tiniest amount of quality DLSS. You could turn it off, but the quality will let us get above 60. Good lows too. CPU is able to handle it, right? This is a very powerful CPU. I've tested some other of these devices. I tested the last generation one, which was still very good. But there's a definite CPU uplift on this model here from the GMK. And so what's happening here, if you can see CPU usage 25, and we're not getting bad lows, meaning the CPU is able to keep up with such a heavy GPU, right? You could probably put in a 4090, but you might see some issues on, you know, it's a little mobile chip versus a 4090. There might be a bit, but of course, if you increase the resolution even more, you're going to offload most of that onto the GPU. All right, so we can go like this here just to show my point here. We'll turn down the resolution here. Let's try 1440p. All right, jump in performance, but it's not a staggering jump in performance. I mean, we did turn off scaling, but even so. Part of that is we're putting more load on the CPU than before, right? But we're still able to do it. So 1440p is going to be totally fine, native, right? No problem doing 1440p native gaming. We can throw on just the lightest amount of DLSS, just why not? You can never tell that it's on if it's just the lightest amount, right? Then you're at 85, 80. Again, we're starting to load a lot onto the CPU, so it's not going to scale as well as you might think with, you know, some desktop with a 14900 or a... Okay, we'll do a little bit more here now, but what are we doing this time? We're doing the iGPU. The iGPU on this thing is very good. So this is just 1080p, and we'll load that down even more. 1080p. Right, we'll come back in here, turn that right off. So just native 1080p now, and there will be a performance jump, but it's not going to be as much as you think. See that there? Right, a 4070 Ti can do way more than that, but we've loaded up the CPU a lot. Right, we're loading up the CPU a lot here. It's going to look weird because it's stretched on the screen. I just have an ultra-wide screen, whatever, it's fine. So we'll just do some 1080p. We'll go with medium. We'll put on a little more scaling, maybe quality. It's probably going to be best there. Right, this is the same iGPU that you get in things like the ROG Ally, Lenovo Legion Go. Right, some of the GPD 1X players realistically getting still to be the best iGPU. There is the 890M, which is a better iGPU right now, but they're very expensive. So I'd still consider this kind of what most people are going to be getting into with handhelds, non-gaming laptops. If you just use the iGPU, this is the type of performance you're going to get here. The difference here is this is a higher wattage variant than those handhelds. Those handhelds run at 30 watts peak. This is 55. So it doesn't make a huge difference. You're not going to see, you know, 3 times the performance because you're increasing the wattage by you know, 20 or 30 watts, but you get better performance. Like, look at this. This is medium with quality scaling, not performance or anything like that. And we're getting an easy 60. This is not the hardest to run area though, but quite a bit. So here's an outdoor area, much harder to run. Still doing pretty good. The lows drop down a little bit. We're still getting a nice, you know, 40 or 50. Again, this is a very hard to run area here. Outdoors, I should probably turn on VSync. The screen is going to freak out. Like that there. We'll turn up the scaling slightly, maybe to balance, just because it's such a tough to run area here. And put on VSync so it's not tearing like crazy. And you're still going to get a nice 40 out of it. Let's go to one more area here. So now we're in here. Last light in, one of the hardest to run areas in the game. And it's going to run very well, as you can see here. I mean, it's an iGPU. You can't expect to be getting 150 FPS, but this is the type of game you're going to have no problems playing at 45 FPS. Okay, so now what we're going to do is a little bit of benchmarking. So we're in Cinebench here. We'll just check the temperatures, idling. Well, not so much idling, just doing Windows stuff. 48, 45, 40, 40, so nothing. Look like that there. We'll check the noise and we'll check the temperatures. And of course the performance. And I do want to see just how kind of noisy it is. Wattages should be fairly high. Yeah, 53 watts. Again, this CPU can get fairly powerful. Can get a lot of power. 8845HS. It's very powerful. It's not like the 8840U, which is the lower wattage variant. This is the full wattage. So, I mean, there's not really much reason to add more than that. 50 to 60 is kind of like the peak. Adding more watts won't really do much. So we should get good performance here, and we won't get too hot. You can see there. Let's come back here, check the noise. My noise floor here is about 34, so it's a little above that, but it's very quiet. No pitchiness. Behind a monitor or something, you wouldn't hear it. You know, even off to the side over there, it would be more or less very close to being silent, despite being under full load. Temperatures are slowly creeping up. Eventually the fan will probably kick up, or we'll throttle maybe a little bit here. Yeah, 15,000 or so, it's very good. It's around the best you can get out of the CPU, maybe a little bit higher. You might be able to get more, I guess it depends on the system, but that's pretty much as high as I get out of that CPU. I've tested it in a bazillion different laptops. Let's have a quick look at a few benchmarks here, the first being Cinebench. Basically reflecting, as I said before, very, very, very good scores for the CPU, just shy of 16,000. It's exceptionally good. For what this is here, that'll be great for things like heavy code compile, 4K video editing, whatever it is that's CPU heavy, you'll be good with this one here. My new office has very bad Wi-Fi reception, so I've been actually enjoying doing the test up here because a lot of times it's not just about how fast the Wi-Fi is, but how good the reception is. So pretty good up here. This is around the best that I get out of any of these mini PCs up in my office area, so pretty good. Not noticing any lag despite the terrible signal up here. The included NVMe is very good here. It's going to be upper speed Gen 4 speeds on this here, so very effective. The GMKtec mini PC is just as good as the last one, only better. The last one had 6000 series AMD, this one has 7000 series AMD. What does that mean for you? It means that it has a better iGPU, 780M. So if you just buy this, you're going to be able to get access to that 780M iGPU, which is fantastic if you're doing gaming. The CPU, the 8845HS, is an awesome, fantastic CPU. Honestly, it was my favorite of last generation. We have new ones coming out. I still think the 8845HS is an absolutely outstanding CPU to buy, and it's highly desirable in these mini PCs. It's going to be great for very demanding CPU tasks. It also runs relatively cool. It's just an awesome little thing. This device here runs nice and cool. It focuses on cooling. It has lots of openings, big dedicated intake, and exhaust for the APU. It does have cooling for the components like the RAM and storage, so those don't run hot. Lots of ports, USB 4 on the back, USB 4 on the front, so you can run things like Thunderbolt USB 4 docks, USB 4 enclosures, get nice fast storage, get access to lots of expansion if need be. You can also run an eGPU off of the USB 4. You will lose a little bit of bandwidth, but it's still going to perform well. But you also have access to the Occulink, which is outstanding. I mean, that Occulink dock that I have off camera cost me $100. Get yourself a few generations old, cheap, I don't know, 3060 or something, and boom, you're gaming, serious gaming. So that's awesome. And the nice thing about this as well, like regardless of the Occulink, it runs cool, it runs very quiet, honestly, very, very quiet. All the ports run well, and it uses, you know, nice good RAM and all that, so it's good. The NUC box is what they call it, and it's really, really, really quite good.